Hey guys, Tyler here from Seller Accountant. A question that I get pretty often is, do I really need a specialized accounting firm for my e-commerce business? And I want to kind of talk you through why I think you do. But let me start by saying I want in my life, in Tyler's life, I want as many generalist solutions as I can find. I want to be able to pick up the phone and call a single maintenance buddy of mine. I know that he can handle painting, plumbing, electrical. Maybe he can fix something out in the yard. He can handle light carpentry. I like having a one-stop shop where I can handle my problems. I want to go to a single grocery store and get all the general things I need there if I can. This is why we love Amazon, right? We can get kind of one-stop shopping for all of our products. But almost like this picture of the physicians here, if I have a more specialized need, I'm not going to want to go to my generalist. In fact, my GP is going to send me to the person that handles bone breaks, or an oncologist if I have a cancer diagnosis, or a nutritionist if I have a special issue related to gut bacteria or something like that. I'm not going to be able to go to a general practitioner because I have a specialized case. What I would like to argue with you and present to you is that when it comes to service partners within e-commerce, you got to have more of a specialist than a generalist mentality. And a good example of this would be in your advertising or PPC partnerships. You can really get yourself in trouble hiring a marketing firm that primarily does something else or is very general, does advertising for magazines and newspapers, maybe has put together a TV ad before, and now they're going to be your marketing wing for an Amazon business. I've seen lots of sellers get in trouble in that scenario. I would argue that it's just as absurd to go with a generalized accounting partner when you need specialized visibility. Let me show you 3 reasons why I believe that an e-commerce seller is kind of a different animal when it comes to accounting. And here they are: timing, margin, and data complexity. Let me unpack each of these individually here. So when it comes to timing, an e-commerce business has an unusually long and an unusually goofy cash cycle. You're having to place big bets on inventory purchases well in advance of when you actually get the goods. And a lot of times, depending on whether your payment processor is Amazon or PayPal or Shopify Pay, you may be waiting weeks, days after a sale occurs to get paid for the products you sell. As a result, the ability to line things up in a way that you can answer really simple questions like, did I make money last month? How much money did I make last month? Become really challenging. And so these huge bets you're having to place from a cash cycle standpoint make it very difficult to manage cash flow unless you have a more specialized version of accounting for your e-commerce business. The second thing I want to mention to you is margin. And I don't know if you can see this graph here at the bottom, but the green, yellow, and red portion is kind of the bottom half of this. That's all Amazon.com. So this is a really, really large study that we did of about $140 million in annual sales. Pretty strong bent towards Amazon sellers. What you can see here is 44.3% of the entire budget, the entire P&L, is spent on Amazon fees, advertising, and fulfillment charges. That's before you even purchase the product. Here's my point in saying this. There are businesses like software, for instance. If you build a good piece of software, you scale at a high margin fairly naturally because basically the cost of one more user is almost zero. So if I can bring, if I'm Dropbox, as many people as I can bring on to my Dropbox service, I get more profitable generally with every user I bring on. E-commerce, product sales, long sales cycle, lots of fees. We are not in a super high margin business. It's a very lucrative business if we do it correctly, but we can't afford to play any games with profit margin because we can end up upside down, and it might be so long before we got paid. That was the first point, timing, that we didn't even know we lost money until it's too late. And so in this business model, understanding actual profitability on a month-by-month basis is absolutely critical. Third reason I'll bring to you here is data complexity. The inventory for Amazon, you have inventory in 50 states. You might have 100 different fulfillment centers. You have all these millions of data points coming out of Shopify or eBay or Walmart.com or wherever you're selling your products. It's not a normal data set where bank deposit goes in, you click it into your accounting system. It's not that simple. It's a lot more complex. Literally, we had a client a couple years ago who was trying to reconcile a PayPal statement. Now, if you ever try to reconcile a PayPal statement for a large Shopify site, maybe doing several million a year in revenue, it is an absolute nightmare unless you know what you're doing. And this guy ended up with a negative, almost $1 million balance on his balance sheet in the Shopify. And it was just, we couldn't figure it out. And we ended up having to rebuild it to get it right for him when he came to us. And because of that level of data complexity, again, having a generalist, it's almost like if you're going to look at an X-ray, if it's a really easy to see X-ray, you may be able to get away with having a general practitioner, but the more specialized the hairline spiral fracture is, you're going to need to have a radiologist that just looks at these kind of screens all the time so that you can make sure you get the data right. So, again, those are the three reasons that we really think that e-commerce is different. And then here are the 5 different kinds of accounting, the way we see it. There are 5 basic disciplines that we often see. And Seller Accountant doesn't handle most of these. So for income tax filing, while you don't have a lot of money or while your finances are simple, you might be able to go to a Doc in the Box or go to a simple do-it-yourself income tax filing. But once you get more sophisticated and you have some assets to protect, I am a big believer in spending every dime I need to spend to get the right tax guy in my corner. That's not Seller Accountant. I don't know enough about income taxes for entrepreneurs, for Tyler, if I'm going to own real estate and multiple businesses. I want to have a CPA in my corner that really gets those things. I'm going to have a specialist for the income tax. That's not Seller Accountant. For your personal wealth management, again, while you're poor, you don't have any money, you can just go to Vanguard or Fidelity Online, Robinhood, and just invest your little bit of money. But once you have millions of dollars of assets you're trying to protect, you're going to hire a specialized wealth management officer to help you build your wealth and deal with all the implications of having money in different investments. Now, when it comes to sales tax, Seller Accountant, we have to be good enough to be dangerous when it comes to sales tax. But I'm not a sales tax expert. I don't know what's happening in the thousands of counties and municipalities across the nation. And so I defer to sales tax experts when there are really complex cases so that the right advice for compliance can be given to our clients. But then we look at these 2 bottom ones down here. The controller bookkeeping function, where we really get to the bottom of those questions we had earlier about how do you understand profitability in the context of a long sales cycle with lots of timing issues, when margins can be tight unless we manage them properly, and when data sets are really, really complex. That's where Seller Accountant is really strong. And that's where I think if you're an e-commerce seller growing, you should really consider bringing on a specialist to help you with this controller bookkeeping function. And then when it comes to the financial strategy, how do I get the right exit as I'm looking to get out of this business? Or how do I maximize my profitability and maximize my cash flow management, that kind of thing? You're again going to have a specialist. These bottom 2, the financial strategy and the controller bookkeeping, happen to be the 2 areas that my team is really strong. That's all we do. And so again, I think the big picture here is, for most things in my life, I would like to have a generalist if I can. I want to have a one-stop shopping, one phone call, and it gets done. When it comes to the nuances of the financial management of my business as a small business owner, I want to make sure that I have people in each seat that are excellent at their trades. Seller Accountant is excellent at the controller bookkeeping function, at the strategy CFO function for e-commerce brands. Take care.